Reading a file on a web server. So when we want to read any file on the web browser or anything like that, like we can go for the JITTP, which is from the package called Java X.Swing. Here it displays the content of a file on the web server, as we can render both the plain text and HTML formatted text, and which is it's an application of a simple web browser. So as we can process the like where when the user clicks on a hyperlink, it can process under the hyperlink events in the JEditor pane. So as we can see the program of the JEditor pane. uh, so as we can see the java.awt everything on that. It's an as we can read a file. This is used to read a file by opening a connection through an URL. And where J text field enter field, we this is as we can enter a site name. J editor pane content area. So here we displays the website, and public and enter field is equal to new J text field. As we enter file URL here, like we create enter field and register its listeners. And uh, and by we start method by using a public void action perform. So this is the get document specified by the user, and we end method with we we end the method by using a get the page. So even dot get action command. So here we use the command method, and here the public void is used to click the hyperlink with the specified page, and we mention the size and the visibility of the window, and we give the border layouts at the center or the right or left. And and here we give the reader server file application is equal to new read server file, where application dot set default close operations, which is an end method, where and also the reading field will also, like where the JEditor pen method is also we also can download a document, and where we can display it. So if there is an error, it throws an input exceptions. If it is an invalid URL, it throws an malformal exception, malformed URL exceptions, where editor pane which contains an HTML document, and it uses a link, it, and the user clicks a hyperlink, and it generates the hyperlink event, and it also notifies all registered hyperlink listeners. So when a hyperlink event occurs, all the programmer calls the method called hyperlink update on the registered listeners. Here we do have the hyperlink event. So it returns the type of the hyperlink event, and the nested class, which is an event type. So it declares a three static event type objects. One is activated, the other one is entered, and the other one exited. Activated, when the user click the hyperlink to change the web pages. Entered, so when the user move the mouse over the hyperlink. Exit, when user move the mouse away from the hyperlink. So when he click on the hyperlink, it's an activator. When he uh, indicate mo- over the hyperlink, it will be enter. If we move mouse away from the hyperlink, it is an exited. So these are the two event type of static event types of hyperlink events. And also we get URL which obtain the URL represented by the your hyperlink. As we can here we establish a simple server using with the stream sockets, as also as we also seen that the stream sockets, uh, which is used to establish different steps. The first step, we create the server socket object, Like we create a new server socket, like the server is equal to new server socket, maybe the port number or the queue length, any of thing, the length or width of the height or space or a position, anything on that. And then we establish the port number where it waits for the connections from the clients, and also known as the binding the server to the port. So where each client will ask to connect to the server on this port. So every client will ask to connect the server on the port, and also it manages the client connections with the socket object. The step two, every in server listen indefinitely for an attempt by a client to connect, and also it listen for the client connections, and also accepts as in a socket connect, and also accepts all the program calls where socket connection is equal to server dot accept. So here we accept the program calls of the socket server sockets, and it returns the socket when there is no when there is a connection is established from the client, and it also allows server to interact with the client. In step 3, output streams and input streams, which enables the server to communicate with both the client and by sending and the receiving bytes. Here in the get output stream, the socket, it gives the reference to the socket's output stream, and it invokes methods to get input stream on the socket to get a reference to the socket's input stream. The step 4, where the server and the client communicates via the output stream or input stream. The step 5, when the transmission is finished, the server will close the connections by closing method on the streams and the sockets on the socket. Here we establish a simple client using a stream socket. Like in the simple client in the Java, it requires 4 steps. In step 1, we establish the socket connection. So whether the connection will be successful or it returns the socket, or it will fails, throws an instance of subclass of input as exceptions or unknown host exceptions, which occurs when the system is unable to resolve the server name. In step 2, where the client uses a socket method, it gets an input stream and gets output stream, which obtain the reference to the socket's input stream and then output stream. In step 3, it's in a processing phase in which the client and the server communicate via the input stream and an output stream object. In step 4, it closes the connections in the transmission by invoking the closing method on the streams and on the socket. So here the representation of the client and server applications. So as we give the input message from the user, and it displays from the information, and it displays the information, and as we can see the output streams from to the client and input stream from the client, and as we get the connections of the client. Mm. So as we given the close connection with the plus plus counter, we ended the finally with catch, and we allow the connections to server dot accept as we seen before in the step 3. So after the first step, we go for the second step. Like in the second step, we accept the server dot connection socket. Here we do the server application with the new server and application with the default close operation, and we ended with the means